I need to tell you something that happened to me 5 years ago, something that changed my entire life. But to understand why what happened last month was so shocking, you need to know how it all started. You need to know about the day I walked into my bedroom and saw my husband Terrence in bed with my sister Denise. It was a Thursday afternoon in September. I remember because Thursday was my short day at the hospital. I worked as a nurse at Mercy General, and Thursdays I only did a half shift. I usually got home around 2 in the afternoon. Terrence knew this. He knew my schedule better than anyone. That day, I was actually happy. I had stopped at the store and picked up ingredients to make his favorite meal: smothered pork chops with rice and gravy. I was humming along to Mary J. Blige on the radio, thinking about how lucky I was. Terrence and I had been married for 6 years. We had a nice house in a good neighborhood. We were trying for a baby. Life was good. Or so I thought. When I pulled into our driveway, I noticed my sister's car parked on the street, that silver Honda Civic with the dent in the back bumper. I didn't think much of it at first. Denise had been coming around a lot lately. She had just broken up with her boyfriend and said she needed family support. Being the good older sister, I told her our door was always open. I walked in through the front door with my grocery bags. The house was quiet. Too quiet. Usually, if Terrence was home, I could hear the TV or music playing. But there was nothing. Just silence. "Hello?" I called out. "Terrence? Denise?" No answer. I set the bags on the kitchen counter and walked toward the bedroom. Maybe they were in the backyard and couldn't hear me. Maybe Denise was showing him something on her phone and they had the volume up too loud. I had 100 innocent explanations running through my mind. I opened the bedroom door. And there they were. My husband, my sister. In my bed. In the bed where I slept every night. The bed we had picked out together at the furniture store. The bed where we had made love and made plans for our future. They didn't even hear me at first. They were too caught up in each other. When Denise finally looked up and saw me standing there, her eyes went wide. But she didn't look sorry. She looked annoyed. Like I had interrupted something important. Terrence jumped up, scrambling for his clothes. "Baby, wait, this isn't what it looks like." I laughed. Actually laughed. Because what else do you do when someone says the most cliché line in the history of cheating? "It's not what it looks like," I said. My voice was calm, too calm. "Then what is it, Terrence? What exactly am I looking at?" Denise sat up in my bed, pulling the sheet around her. My sheets, the ones I had washed just 3 days ago. "Shanice," she said, "we didn't mean for you to find out this way." Find out this way. Like there was a good way to find out your husband and your baby sister had been sleeping together. "How long?" I asked. They looked at each other. That look told me everything. This wasn't new. This wasn't a one-time mistake. This was something that had been going on for a while. "How long?" I asked again, louder this time. 6 months, Terrence finally said. 6 months. Half a year. While I had been working double shifts to help us save for a down payment on a bigger house. While I had been talking to him about having a baby. While I had been inviting my sister over for Sunday dinners because she was going through a rough time. I walked out of that room. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. Not yet. I grabbed my purse and my keys, and I left. I drove to my best friend Keisha's house and I sat in her living room and I told her everything. Keisha had been my friend since middle school. She was the one who had warned me that Denise was jealous of me. She had said it at my wedding reception, actually. "Watch out for that one," she had whispered. "She smiles in your face, but she wants what you have." I had brushed it off. Denise was my sister. We had our issues, sure, but I never thought she would do something like this. "You need a lawyer," Keisha said, "and you need to call your mama." I didn't want to call Mama, but I knew I had to. My mother's name is Gloria Winters. She was a proud woman who had raised 3 daughters by herself after our father left when I was 10. She worked as a secretary at a law firm for 30 years. She made sure we all went to church every Sunday. She taught us to be strong Black women who didn't take no mess from nobody. But she also had favorites, and I wasn't one of them. Denise was the baby, the pretty one, the one who could do no wrong. Even when we were kids, if Denise and I got into trouble, somehow I was always the one who got punished. "You're the oldest," Mama would say. "You should know better." When I called Mama and told her what happened, you know what she said? "Well, Shanice, maybe if you had been taking better care of your husband, he wouldn't have gone looking elsewhere." I had to repeat what she said in my head to make sure I heard it right. "Excuse me?" I said. "I'm just saying, baby. You work all the time. A man needs attention. He needs his wife to be home, cooking and cleaning and being there for him, not running around at that hospital all hours of the day and night." "Mama, he cheated on me with Denise, your daughter, my sister." "Now, Shanice, don't be so dramatic. These things happen. You and Terrence can work through this. He's a good man with a good job. You're not getting any younger. You think another man is going to want you at your age?" I was 32 years old. "And Denise," Mama continued, "she's just confused right now. You know she's had a hard time finding a good man." She didn't mean no harm. I hung up on my own mother. For the first time in my life, I hung up the phone while she was still talking. Before we continue, please tell us where you're watching from so we know how far our stories reach, and subscribe to the channel to help us grow. The next few weeks were the hardest of my life. I moved in with Keisha temporarily. I hired a lawyer named Patricia Richardson, a Black woman in her 50s who had been practicing family law for 25 years. She was tough as nails and took no prisoners in the courtroom. "We're going to take him for everything," Patricia said at our first meeting. "The house is in both your names, right?" I nodded. "And you've been contributing to the household income the entire marriage?" "Every month. I actually made more than him most years because of my overtime." Patricia smiled. "Good. Real good." Terrence tried to call me every day. He sent flowers to Keisha's house. He showed up at the hospital where I worked. Security had to escort him out twice. My sister Denise never called. Not once. Not to apologize, not to explain, nothing. But my middle sister, Rochelle, did call. Rochelle was 3 years younger than me, and we had always been close. She was a teacher at an elementary school and had 2 kids of her own. "Shanice, I am so sorry," she said. "I had no idea. If I had known, I would have told you." "Did Mama tell you what she said to me?" "Yeah." Rochelle sighed. "I told her she was wrong. I told her she needs to apologize to you. But you know how she is. She's stubborn. And she's always babied Denise." "I don't want to hear it, Shell. I'm done. With all of them." "Don't say that. We're family." "Family doesn't do what they did to me." The divorce took 6 months. 6 long months of court dates and paperwork and lawyers fighting over every little thing. Terrence tried to claim that he deserved half of my retirement account because he had supported me emotionally during my career. Patricia laughed in court when his lawyer said that. In the end, I got the house. I got most of our savings. I got to keep my retirement untouched. Terrence got his car and his clothes, and that was about it. The day the divorce was finalized, I changed my phone number. I blocked everyone in my family except Rochelle. Mama called Rochelle crying, saying I was being too harsh, that I needed to forgive and move on. That family was family. But I was done. I had spent my whole life trying to be the good daughter, the responsible one, the one who did everything right. And where did it get me? Betrayed by the people who were supposed to love me most. I threw myself into my work. I picked up extra shifts. I went back to school and got my nurse practitioner certification. I painted every room in my house. I joined a gym. I started going to a new church across town where nobody knew my story. And slowly, very slowly, I started to heal. I made new friends, other nurses at the hospital who invited me to book club and girls' nights. I met a woman named Angela who lived 2 houses down from me. She was a widow in her 60s who loved to garden and bake. She became like a mother to me, the mother I wish I had. I even started dating again. Nothing serious. Just dinner here and there with men I met through friends or online. I wasn't ready for anything serious. Maybe I would never be ready again, but it felt good to laugh with someone, to remember that not all men were like Terrence. The years passed. 2 years, then 3, then 4, then 5. I heard through Rochelle that Terrence and Denise had moved in together, then that they had gotten engaged, then that they had gotten married in a small ceremony at the courthouse. Mama was there, of course. She posted pictures on Facebook. I didn't look at them. Rochelle told me, but I didn't want to see. I heard that Terrence lost his job at the accounting firm, something about poor performance. I heard they were struggling with money, that Denise was working 2 jobs trying to keep them afloat. I felt nothing when I heard these things. No satisfaction, no pity, nothing. They were strangers to me now. Then, 5 years and 2 months after I walked in on them in my bedroom, my doorbell rang on a Saturday morning in November. I was in my kitchen making coffee, wearing my pajamas and a bonnet, not expecting anyone. I looked through the peephole. It was my mother. I hadn't seen Gloria Winters in 5 years. She looked older, grayer, tired. She was wearing her church clothes even though it was Saturday. I almost didn't open the door. My hand was on the knob, and I almost walked away. But something made me turn that lock and pull that door open. "Mama," I said. "Shanice." Her voice cracked. "Baby, I need to talk to you." "I don't have anything to say to you." "Please, it's important. It's about Denise." Of course it was about Denise. It was always about Denise. "What about her?" I asked, not moving from the doorway. "She's sick, baby. Real sick. She's got cancer, stage 4. The doctors say she only has a few months left." I stood there, trying to process what she was saying. Denise had cancer. My sister, who had betrayed me, who had slept with my husband, who had never apologized, was dying. "I'm sorry to hear that," I said. And I meant it. I wouldn't wish cancer on anyone. "But why are you telling me this?" "She wants to see you. She wants to apologize before—" Mama's voice broke. "Before it's too late." "No. Shanice, please." I said no, Mama. She had 5 years to apologize. She had 5 years to pick up the phone. She didn't. Now she's sick and suddenly she wants forgiveness? No. She's your sister. She stopped being my sister the day she climbed into bed with my husband. Mama's face hardened. "You're being cruel." "I'm being honest. You want to talk about cruel? Let's talk about how you blamed me for my husband cheating. Let's talk about how you chose her over me. Let's talk about how you've always chosen her over me." "That's not true." "Yes, it is, and you know it. You've always favored her. Even now, even when she's the one who did something horrible, you're here asking me to make it easier for her. What about me, Mama? What about what I went through?" My mother's eyes filled with tears. "I know I hurt you. I know I said things I shouldn't have said. But please, Shanice, she's dying. Don't you have any compassion?" "I have compassion, but I also have boundaries. And I'm not crossing them." "Not even for this." I started to close the door, but Mama put her hand out to stop it. "There's something else," she said. "Terrence left her. As soon as he found out she was sick, he left. Moved out in the middle of the night. Didn't even say goodbye. She's all alone, Shanice, and she's scared." I felt something twist in my chest. Not sympathy exactly, but something. "That's terrible," I said, "but it's not my problem. She has no one. Her medical bills are piling up. She can't work anymore. She's about to lose her apartment. I'm helping as much as I can, but I'm retired now. I don't have much." "What about Rochelle?" "Rochelle is helping too, but it's not enough. We need money," I finished for her. "You need money." Mama looked down at her shoes. "I wouldn't ask if it wasn't desperate." And there it was. The real reason for this visit. Not because Denise wanted to apologize, not because Mama had finally realized how badly she had hurt me, but because they needed money. I laughed. I couldn't help it. The audacity was almost impressive. "Let me make sure I understand this," I said. "Denise destroyed my marriage. You blamed me for it. You all cut me out of the family, and now you want me to pay her medical bills?" "Shanice, get off my porch, Mama. Baby, please. I said get off my porch and don't come back." I closed the door in her face. I locked it. I stood there listening to her cry on the other side of that door for 5 full minutes before she finally walked away. I went back to my kitchen. My coffee was cold. I poured it down the sink and made a fresh cup. My hands were shaking. I told myself I did the right thing. I told myself I didn't owe them anything. I told myself that karma had come for Denise, and it wasn't my job to save her from it. But that night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about what Mama had said, that Denise was alone, that Terrence had abandoned her, that she was scared. I thought about the little girl Denise used to be, before jealousy and bad choices turned her into someone I didn't recognize. I thought about how we used to share a room as kids, how she would climb into my bed during thunderstorms because she was afraid of the lightning. I thought about what Angela, my neighbor, had told me once. She said, "The best revenge isn't hurting the people who hurt you. It's becoming so happy and so successful that you don't even think about them anymore. It's being free." Was I free? Or was I still chained to the past, letting my anger and hurt control my decisions? I didn't know. What I did know was that 3 days after Mama showed up at my door, I got a call from Rochelle. "Sis," she said, "I need you to sit down. Something happened." My stomach dropped. "What? Is it Denise?" "No, well, yes, but not what you think. Shanice, Terrence came back." "What?" "He came back, and he's been staying with Denise, taking care of her. Everyone thinks he's being so noble coming back to help his dying ex-wife." "Okay," I said slowly. "That's unexpected. But why are you telling me this?" "Because I did some digging. I got suspicious when he came back so suddenly, acting like he was husband of the year. So I called his sister, Mia. You remember her?" I did. Mia had always been nice to me. "Mia told me something interesting," Rochelle continued. "Terrence didn't leave Denise because he's a terrible person. Well, he is a terrible person, but that's not why he left. He left because he got another woman pregnant. Some girl he met at a bar. She had the baby, and then she realized what kind of man he really was and kicked him out. He's broke, Shanice, completely broke. Lost his job, lost his apartment, has child support to pay now. And you know what else?" "What?" "Denise has a life insurance policy, a big one, $300,000. And guess who she made the beneficiary of that policy 2 weeks ago?" My blood ran cold. "Terrence," I whispered. "Terrence," Rochelle confirmed. "Sis, I think he's planning something. I think he's waiting for her to die so he can collect that money." I sat down hard on my couch. "Does Denise know?" "I don't think so. She thinks he came back because he loves her. She's posting on Facebook about how he's her rock, how she was wrong about him, how God brought them back together for a reason." I put my head in my hands. "What do you want me to do, Shell?" "I want you to help me stop him. I know you have no reason to help Denise. I know what she did to you was unforgivable. But Shanice, she's still our sister, and she doesn't deserve this." "Why can't you tell her yourself?" "I tried. She won't listen to me. She says I'm just jealous. She says I never liked Terrence. She says I'm trying to ruin her happiness in her final days. But you—" Rochelle paused. "You're the one she wronged the most. If you tell her, if you show up and warn her, maybe she'll listen. Maybe she'll believe it's real." "And if she doesn't listen?" "Then at least we tried. At least we know we did everything we could. I didn't answer right away. I sat there in my living room, in the house I had rebuilt my life in, and I thought about what the right thing to do was. I thought about the Bible verses I had heard all my life in church, about forgiveness, about loving your enemies, about doing unto others as you would have them do unto you. I thought about the kind of person I wanted to be, not the person my pain had made me, but the person I was before all of this happened, the person who believed in doing the right thing even when it was hard. Okay, I finally said. Okay? I'll help. But Shell, I'm not doing this for Denise, and I'm not doing this for Mama. I'm doing this because it's the right thing to do. That's it. That's enough, Rochelle said. That's more than enough. We hung up. And I sat there in the growing darkness of my living room, wondering what I had just agreed to. What I didn't know then was that this decision, this choice to get involved again, would change everything. What I didn't know was that Terrence had been planning something much bigger than just waiting for Denise to die. And what I definitely didn't know was that in 2 weeks, I would be sitting in a courtroom listening to testimony that would turn my entire understanding of the past 5 years completely upside down. The next morning, I called in sick to work. I never called in sick. In 12 years of nursing, I had maybe used 5 sick days total, but I needed time to think. I needed to figure out what I was going to say to Denise. Angela came over that afternoon with a sweet potato pie. She always knew when something was wrong. "All right, baby," she said, setting that pie on my kitchen table. "Tell Miss Angela what's going on." I told her everything. About Mama showing up, about Denise being sick, about Rochelle's suspicions about Terrence and the life insurance policy. Angela listened without interrupting. When I finished, she cut us both a slice of pie and poured 2 glasses of sweet tea. "You know what I think?" she said. "What?" "I think you're scared." I started to protest, but she held up her hand. "Not scared of Terrence. Not scared of your sister. You're scared that if you walk back into that situation, all those old wounds are going to open up again. You're scared that you're going to feel all that pain you worked so hard to get past." She was right. I hadn't wanted to admit it, but she was absolutely right. "So what do I do?" I asked. "You do what you need to do. You warn your sister, you expose that snake for what he is, and then you walk away again with your head held high, knowing you did the right thing. Your peace doesn't come from them never hurting you. Your peace comes from knowing that no matter what they do, they can't make you into a person you're not proud of." I hugged Angela tight. "Thank you. That's what I'm here for, baby. Now eat your pie and go handle your business." That evening, I called Rochelle back. "I need you to find out where Denise is tomorrow," I said. "I'm going to talk to her. She has a chemo appointment at 10 in the morning at City Medical Center. 4th floor, oncology wing." "How do you know that?" "Because I go with her sometimes, when Mama can't make it. Terrence never goes. He always has some excuse." Of course he did. The next morning, I got dressed in my nice clothes. A navy blue pantsuit that made me look professional and put together. I needed to look like I had my life together, like I wasn't the broken woman Denise probably imagined me to be. I drove to City Medical Center. I had worked there for 2 years early in my career, so I knew the layout. I took the elevator to the 4th floor and walked into the oncology wing. The waiting room was full of people in various stages of treatment. Some had lost their hair, some looked tired and weak, some were laughing with their families trying to make the best of a terrible situation. And then I saw her. Denise was sitting in a chair by the window. She had lost weight. A lot of weight. Her hair was gone, covered by a colorful headscarf. She was wearing sweatpants and an oversized hoodie. She looked small, fragile, nothing like the woman I had caught in my bed 5 years ago. Mama was sitting next to her, holding her hand. I took a deep breath and walked over. Mama saw me first. Her eyes went wide. "Shanice, what are you doing here?" Denise looked up. When she saw me, her whole face changed. She looked shocked, then scared, then something else I couldn't quite read. "Can I talk to you?" I asked Denise. "Alone?" Mama started to protest, but Denise put her hand on her arm. "It's okay, Mama. Go get some coffee or something. I'll be fine." Mama looked between us, clearly torn. But she finally stood up and walked toward the cafeteria, looking back over her shoulder every few steps. I sat down in the chair Mama had vacated. For a long moment, neither of us said anything. "You look good," Denise finally said. Her voice was hoarse, probably from the chemo. "Thank you. I'm surprised you came, after what Mama said about you turning us down. I'm not here because of that. I'm here to warn you about something." Denise's eyebrows went up. "Warn me?" "About Terrence." Her face hardened. "What about him?" "He's not back because he loves you, Denise. He's back because you made him the beneficiary of your life insurance policy." She stared at me for a moment. Then she laughed. It was a bitter, painful sound. "Of course you would think that. You never believed Terrence could change. You never forgave him for what we did. This isn't about forgiveness. This is about facts. Rochelle talked to his sister. Terrence got another woman pregnant. He lost his job. He's broke. And suddenly, right after you change your beneficiary to him, he comes back playing the devoted husband? You don't think that's suspicious?" Mia doesn't know what she's talking about. She never liked me. And Rochelle has always been jealous that Terrence and I made it work after you left. Made it work? Denise, he abandoned you the minute you got sick. He was gone for 8 months. He only came back after that insurance policy changed. You don't know anything about our relationship. You don't know what we've been through together. I felt my frustration rising. You're right. I don't. But I know Terrence. I was married to him for 6 years, and I know he doesn't do anything unless there's something in it for him. He loves me, Denise said, her voice cracked. He came back because he realized he made a mistake. He realized he couldn't live without me. Or he realized he couldn't live without $300,000. Denise stood up. She was shaking, whether from anger or weakness, I couldn't tell. You need to leave. You came here to hurt me, to make me feel bad in my final months. You couldn't forgive me, so now you want to take away the one good thing I have left. I'm trying to protect you. I don't need your protection. I don't need anything from you. You made it very clear 5 years ago that you were done with me, so stay done. Leave me alone and let me die in peace. A nurse called her name. Denise grabbed her purse and walked toward the treatment rooms without looking back. I sat there in that waiting room feeling like I had just failed some kind of test. Mama came back a few minutes later, carrying a coffee. She told me what you said, Mama said coldly. You should be ashamed of yourself. I'm trying to help her. No, you're trying to get revenge. You want to punish her for being happy. Happy? Mama, she's dying, and the man she's with is going to profit from it. You don't know that. You're just bitter because they found love together and you're alone. That stung more than it should have. I'm not alone, and I'm not bitter. I'm concerned. But you know what? You're right. This isn't my business. I tried to warn her. She doesn't want to hear it. So I'm done. Again. For real this time. I stood up to leave. Shanice, Mama called after me. I know you're hurt. I know we hurt you. But holding on to anger like this, it's going to eat you alive. You need to forgive. You need to move on. I turned back to look at her. I have moved on, Mama. I moved on 5 years ago. You're the ones who can't let go. You're the ones who keep showing up at my door asking for things. I'm living my life just fine without any of you. I walked out of that hospital and I didn't look back. When I got home, I called Rochelle and told her what happened. I tried, I said. She doesn't want to hear it. I figured she wouldn't. But at least we tried. That's all we can do. Shell, I need you to promise me something. When this all goes bad, and it will go bad, don't call me. Don't ask me to help clean up the mess. I'm out. I'm done. I meant what I said. There was a long pause. Okay, sis, I promise. But Rochelle broke that promise 2 weeks later. I was at work, in the middle of a busy shift, when she called. I almost didn't answer, but something told me I should. Sis, you need to get to county hospital right now. What? Why? I'm working. It's Denise. She's in the ICU. Shanice, it's bad. Really bad. My heart started racing. What happened? I don't know all the details. Mama called me crying, saying Denise collapsed at home and Terrence called the ambulance. They're saying she had some kind of reaction to her medication. But Shanice... Rochelle lowered her voice. The doctors are asking questions. They're saying some things don't add up. I told my supervisor I had a family emergency and I left. I drove to county hospital faster than I should have. My mind was racing. Had Terrence done something? Had he hurt her? When I got to the ICU, Mama was in the waiting room. She looked like she had aged 10 years. When she saw me, she actually stood up and hugged me. She was shaking. They won't tell me what's wrong, she sobbed into my shoulder. They keep asking me questions about Terrence, about whether Denise was afraid of him, about whether there was any history of violence. What are they talking about, Shanice? What's going on? Before I could answer, a doctor came out. She was a black woman in her 40s, with kind eyes but a serious expression. Are you family? She asked. I'm her mother, Mama said. This is her sister. Can we talk somewhere private? The doctor led us to a small consultation room. My nursing training kicked in and I knew this was serious. They only took you to private rooms for serious conversations. Denise is stable for now, the doctor said. But we found something concerning in her blood work. She has an extremely high level of insulin in her system. Dangerously high. It's what caused her to go into hypoglycemic shock. But Denise doesn't have diabetes, Mama said. Exactly. That's the problem. Someone gave her insulin, a lot of it. And it wasn't prescribed by her oncologist or any other doctor in her care team. The room went silent. Are you saying someone poisoned my daughter? Mama whispered. I'm saying someone gave her insulin who shouldn't have. Whether it was intentional or accidental, we don't know. But the police are involved now. They're going to want to talk to everyone who's been around Denise in the last few days. I felt sick. I had warned her. I had tried to tell her Terrence was dangerous, and she hadn't listened. Where's Terrence? I asked. The doctor and Mama both looked at me. He left, the doctor said. He rode in the ambulance with her, but once we stabilized her, he said he needed to go move his car. That was 3 hours ago. He hasn't come back. Of course he hadn't. We need to call the police, I said. They're already here, the doctor said. There's a detective who wants to speak with the family. The detective was a tall black man in his 50s named Marcus Hayes. He had been a detective for 20 years, he told us, and he had seen a lot in his time. But cases like this always bothered him the most. Poisoning is a coward's crime, he said. It's premeditated, it's cruel, and it usually happens to the most vulnerable victims. He asked us about Terrence, about his relationship with Denise, about the life insurance policy, about whether he had access to insulin. Mama was in denial at first. Terrence wouldn't hurt Denise. He loves her. He came back to take care of her. But Rochelle, who had arrived by then, told the detective everything. About how Terrence left when Denise got sick, about the other woman and the baby, about the insurance policy, about how he suddenly came back right after being made the beneficiary. Did he have medical training? Detective Hayes asked. He worked at an accounting firm, Mama said. But his mother was diabetic, I said quietly. Everyone looked at me. His mother had type 1 diabetes. She died when Terrence was 25. He used to give her insulin shots. He knew how to use it. The detective wrote this down. And you are? I'm the ex-wife. I was married to Terrence for 6 years before he cheated on me with Denise. Detective Hayes studied me for a moment. So you have reason to dislike both of them. I did, I said. But I wouldn't hurt anyone. I'm a nurse. I took an oath to do no harm, and despite everything, I tried to warn Denise 2 weeks ago that Terrence was using her. She didn't want to hear it. Can anyone confirm that conversation? I can, Mama said quietly. I was there, at the hospital. Shanice did try to warn her. Over the next few days, the investigation moved fast. Detective Hayes obtained a warrant to search the apartment Denise and Terrence shared. They found insulin vials hidden in the back of the bathroom cabinet. They found Terrence's fingerprints on those vials. They found internet search history on his laptop about insulin overdoses and life insurance payouts. They found text messages between Terrence and another woman, someone named Crystal, where he talked about how he just needed to wait it out a little longer and then they'd have enough money to start their new life together. Crystal was the mother of his child, and she knew everything. When the police came to arrest Terrence, he ran, led them on a chase through 2 counties before he crashed his car into a telephone pole. He survived, but barely, and that's how we ended up in court. The trial started 6 weeks later. Denise had survived, though she was weaker than ever. The cancer was progressing rapidly, but she was determined to be there to see Terrence face justice. I attended every day of that trial. Not for Terrence, not for Denise, but because I needed to understand. I needed to know why. Why he had done this. Why he had been so willing to hurt people. The prosecutor was a sharp black woman named Jennifer Collins. She laid out the case methodically. The affair, the marriage, the abandonment when Denise got sick. The return after the insurance policy changed. The insulin, the searches, the text messages. Terrence's lawyer tried to claim it was all a misunderstanding, that Terrence had been trying to help Denise manage her symptoms, that the insulin was for legitimate medical reasons. But then the prosecutor called a surprise witness. Mia, Terrence's sister. Mia got on that stand and she told the truth. She told the court that Terrence had called her 6 months ago, asking her how much insulin it would take to kill someone. She told the court that she had warned him not to do anything stupid. She told the court that she had been afraid to come forward because he was her brother, but she couldn't stay silent anymore. He's not the man I grew up with, Mia said, crying on the stand. My brother died a long time ago. I don't know who this person is. The jury deliberated for 4 hours. They found Terrence guilty on all counts: attempted murder, fraud, and several other charges I couldn't even keep track of. The judge sentenced him to 25 years in prison. When they read the verdict, I looked across the courtroom at Denise. She was crying, but they weren't tears of relief or satisfaction. They were tears of grief. She had loved him. Despite everything, she had really loved him. After the trial ended, Denise asked to speak to me. We met in a small room in the courthouse, just the 2 of us. She looked so small in that wheelchair, so tired. The trial had taken everything out of her. You tried to warn me, she said. I did. I should have listened. Yes, you should have. She nodded. I'm sorry, Shanice. For everything. For sleeping with Terrence. For destroying your marriage. For never apologizing. For being too proud and too stupid to see what was right in front of me. I'm sorry. I sat down across from her. I appreciate that. I really do. But I need you to understand something. An apology doesn't erase what happened. It doesn't undo the pain. It doesn't make us okay. I know. But it's a start, and that's something. We sat there in silence for a moment. How long? I finally asked. She knew what I meant. The doctors say maybe 3 months, maybe less. The chemo isn't working anymore. They're moving me to hospice care next week. I'm sorry. Me too. She wiped her eyes. I wasted so much time. I was so jealous of you, Shanice. You were always the smart one, the successful one, the one Daddy loved before he left. I wanted what you had. And when I saw Terrence and how much he loved you, I wanted that too. I wanted to prove I could take something from you. I wanted to win for once. You didn't win, Denise. Nobody won. I know that now. I destroyed your marriage and mine. I ruined our family. And for what? For a man who tried to kill me for money. Some prize. There was nothing I could say to that. I don't expect you to forgive me, she continued. I don't deserve it. But I want you to know that I see it now. I see what I did. And if I could take it all back, I would. Would you? Really? Or would you just do it differently so you didn't get caught? She flinched, but she didn't answer. And that told me everything I needed to know. I stood up. Goodbye, Denise. Shanice, wait. I turned back. Will you come see me before I die, just once? I looked at my little sister, dying in that wheelchair, asking me for mercy she had never shown me. I'll think about it, I said, and then I walked out. Mama was waiting in the hallway. Rochelle was with her. Did you forgive her? Mama asked. No. Shanice, she's dying. I know she's dying, Mama, and I'm sorry for that, I really am. But forgiveness isn't something you get to demand because you're running out of time. It's something you have to earn, and she hasn't earned it. Neither have you. I'm your mother. You blamed me for my husband cheating. You chose her over me. You showed up at my door after 5 years asking for money. You called me bitter and vindictive when I tried to save her life. You don't get to pull the "I'm your mother" card now. Mama's face crumpled. I made mistakes. I was wrong. What do you want me to say? I want you to say that you see me. That you've always seen me. Not just as the responsible one or the strong one or the one who's supposed to fix everything, but as your daughter, who deserved to be protected and loved and believed. Can you say that? Mama opened her mouth, then closed it. She looked down at her hands. I thought not, I said. I started to walk away, but Rochelle caught my arm. Sis, wait. This isn't fair. What isn't fair? You're punishing Mama for not being perfect. You're punishing Denise for making mistakes. But you're not perfect either. You have your faults too. I never claimed to be perfect, Shell. But I didn't betray anyone. I didn't blame the victim. I didn't choose sides against the person who was hurt. There's a difference between making mistakes and making choices that destroy people. So that's it? You're just done with all of us? I don't know. Maybe. Maybe not. But I need time and space. And for once in my life, I need to put myself first, without feeling guilty about it. I walked out of that courthouse and got in my car and drove home. When I walked through my door, Angela was sitting on my front porch with another pie. Rough day? She asked. You have no idea. Come on, baby. Let's eat some pie and you can tell me all about it. And I did. I told her everything. About the trial. About Denise's apology. About Mama's inability to really see what she had done wrong. About feeling guilty for not being able to just forgive and move on. You know what your problem is? Angela said. What? You think you have to make a decision right now. You think you have to either forgive them completely or cut them off forever. But life isn't that simple. You can hold space for both things. You can acknowledge that they hurt you and still have compassion for their pain. You can set boundaries and still be kind. You don't have to choose. But they want an answer. They want to know if I forgive them. What they want doesn't matter right now. What matters is what you need. And what you need is time to heal on your own terms, not theirs. I leaned my head on Angela's shoulder. Thank you. That's what I'm here for. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about what Angela had said, about time and healing and making space for complicated feelings. I thought about Denise dying alone in a hospice bed. I thought about Mama trying and failing to apologize. I thought about the years I had lost with my family because of betrayal and pride. I thought about who I wanted to be at the end of all this. Not who they wanted me to be, but who I wanted to be. At 3 a.m, my phone rang. It was a number I didn't recognize. I almost didn't answer. But something told me I should. Hello? Shanice? It was a woman's voice. Young. Scared. Yes? Who is this? This is Crystal. Terrence's girlfriend. I got your number from Mia. I know this is weird, and you probably don't want to talk to me, but I need to tell you something. Something the police don't know. Something nobody knows. My heart started racing. What is it? It's about Terrence, and what he did. It's worse than you think. So much worse. What do you mean? Can you meet me tomorrow? Please, I can't talk about this over the phone. But you need to know the truth. About everything. I sat up in bed. Okay. Where? She gave me an address. A coffee shop downtown. 10 a.m. I'll be there, I said. We hung up, and I sat there in the darkness, wondering what else could possibly be worse than what we already knew. But I was about to find out. And what Crystal told me the next day would change everything I thought I knew about the last 5 years of my life. I didn't sleep the rest of that night. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, trying to imagine what Crystal could possibly tell me that would be worse than attempted murder. At 9:30 the next morning, I was already sitting in the coffee shop, a cup of tea getting cold in front of me. I had chosen a table in the back corner where we could talk privately. Crystal walked in at exactly 10 o'clock. She was younger than I expected, maybe 25. She was a petite woman with long braids wearing jeans and a hoodie. She looked tired, scared. She had a baby carrier with her, and inside was a sleeping infant who couldn't have been more than 4 months old. Shanice? She asked. That's me. You must be Crystal. She sat down across from me, adjusting the baby carrier on the chair next to her. Thank you for meeting me. I know this is strange. It's fine. What did you need to tell me? Crystal took a deep breath. I need to start by saying I'm sorry. I'm sorry for my part in all of this. I didn't know he was married to your sister when we got together. He told me he was single. By the time I found out the truth, I was already pregnant. Okay, I said slowly. But that's not what I came here to tell you. What I came to tell you is that Terrence had this all planned. From the very beginning. Even before he married your sister. Even before your divorce. My blood ran cold. What do you mean? Crystal reached into her bag and pulled out a folder. She slid it across the table to me. I found these in his laptop. He thought he had deleted everything, but he didn't know I had access to his cloud storage. These are emails, documents, plans, going back almost 7 years. I opened the folder. Inside were printed emails and documents. I started reading. The first email was dated 7 years ago, 2 months before I had caught Terrence and Denise together. It was from Terrence to someone named Marcus, not the detective. A different Marcus. You were right about the sister, the email said. She's jealous and easy to manipulate, already showing interest. Give me another month and I'll have her hooked. Then we move to phase 2. I felt sick. The next email was even worse. The wife is completely oblivious, works all the time, trusts me completely. She'll never see it coming. Once I get the sister pregnant and convince her to put me on her insurance, I'll have 2 paydays. The wife's retirement accounts through the divorce, and the sister's insurance when the time comes. I looked up at Crystal. My hands were shaking. He planned the affair? He planned all of it? Keep reading, Crystal said quietly. I flipped through more documents. There were notes about Denise's schedule, about her vulnerabilities, about how to make her fall in love with him. There were calculations about divorce settlements and insurance payouts. And then I found something that made my heart stop. It was a list of names, 5 women total. Next to each name was an amount of money and a status. Jennifer Martinez, $150,000. Completed Ashley Thompson, $200,000. Completed Shanice Winters, $175,000. Completed Denise Winters, $300,000. In progress. Crystal Davis, $250,000. Future. "What is this?" I whispered. Crystal's eyes filled with tears. "He's done this before, multiple times. He finds women with money or assets. He marries them or gets close to them. He takes what he can. And then he moves on. Jennifer and Ashley both died under suspicious circumstances. The police never had enough evidence to prove anything, but I found their obituaries. They both died within 2 years of meeting Terrence." "Oh my God." "When I found this, I went to the police. That's how they had so much evidence against him for what he did to Denise. But Shanice, there's more. He had plans for you too." "What do you mean?" "After the divorce, he was furious that you got most of the assets. He felt like you had cheated him somehow, so he started planning. He was going to frame you for Denise's murder. He had it all worked out. He was going to make it look like you had poisoned her out of revenge. He had already planted evidence in your house." "In my house? How?" "He made copies of your keys years ago. He's been going into your house when you're at work. He planted insulin in your garage. He planted internet searches on your home computer. He was building a case against you so that when Denise died, you would be the prime suspect." I couldn't breathe. I literally couldn't catch my breath. "But then he got impatient," Crystal continued. "He gave Denise too much insulin too fast. She didn't die like he planned. She survived. And then the investigation went in a different direction, and all his plans fell apart. If Denise had died, Shanice, you would be in prison right now. And he would have gotten away with everything." I put my head in my hands. All these years, I had thought I was safe. I had thought that cutting my family off had protected me. But Terrence had been planning to destroy my life even after the divorce. Even after I had tried to move on. "Why are you telling me this?" I asked. "Because you need to know. And because the police need to know. This needs to be part of his case. He needs to be charged with the other murders. Those women deserve justice. Their families deserve to know the truth." "Does Detective Hayes know about this?" "I called him right before I called you. He's getting a warrant for Terrence's cloud storage right now. But I wanted you to hear it from me first. I wanted you to know that you're not crazy. Your instinct to warn Denise was right. Your instinct that something was wrong was right. You've been right about him all along." I looked at this young woman across from me, this stranger who had just given me the truth I didn't know I needed. "Thank you," I said. "Thank you for being brave enough to come forward." "I had to. For my daughter." She looked at the sleeping baby. "I don't want her growing up with a father like that. I don't want her thinking that what he did was normal or okay. And I don't want any more women to suffer because I stayed quiet." We sat there for a while longer while I processed everything. Crystal gave me copies of all the documents. She gave me the contact information for Jennifer and Ashley's families. She gave me everything I needed to make sure Terrence never hurt anyone again. When we finally left that coffee shop, I felt different. Not better exactly, but clearer, like a fog had lifted and I could finally see the whole picture. I called Detective Hayes immediately. He confirmed what Crystal had told me. The investigation was being expanded. Terrence was going to be charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder and multiple counts of fraud and conspiracy. "Ms. Winters," Detective Hayes said, "I need you to know that you were never really safe. If Denise had died on schedule, we would have found all that evidence he planted. You would have been arrested. You would have been charged. And given the history between you and your sister, a jury might have believed it. But I didn't do anything. I know that. And we would have figured it out eventually. But it would have put you through hell first. You're lucky Denise survived, and you're lucky Crystal came forward." After I hung up with the detective, I sat in my car in that parking lot, and I cried. I cried for all the years I had spent thinking I was the problem. I cried for the life I had lost. I cried for Denise and what she had been through. I cried for Jennifer and Ashley, 2 women I had never met who had died because of a monster. And then I dried my eyes and I drove to the hospice center where Denise was staying. Mama was there when I arrived. So was Rochelle. They both looked surprised to see me. "I need to talk to Denise," I said. "Alone." Mama started to protest, but Rochelle put a hand on her arm. "Come on, Mama, let them talk." When they left, I pulled a chair up next to Denise's bed. She looked worse than she had at the courthouse. The cancer was winning. She probably only had days left, not weeks. "Hey," she said weakly. "Hey." "I didn't think you'd come." "Neither did I." I took a breath. "I need to tell you something. About Terrence. About everything." I told her what Crystal had shown me. About the planning. About the other women. About how the affair had been calculated from the beginning. About how he had never loved either of us. We had just been marks. Targets. Denise cried as I talked, silent tears running down her face. "So none of it was real," she whispered when I finished. "He never loved me." "No, he didn't. I destroyed our relationship for nothing. I destroyed our family for a lie. You didn't know. But you tried to tell me. You tried to warn me, and I didn't listen. I was so stupid, Shanice, so incredibly stupid." I reached out and took her hand. "You weren't stupid. You were human. He was good at what he did. He fooled a lot of people, including me. I married him. I trusted him. I built a life with him. We both got played. But I made it worse. I went after your husband. I betrayed you. That wasn't Terrence's fault. That was mine." "You're right. That was your choice. And it hurt me more than I can ever explain. But Denise, I need you to understand something. Holding on to this anger, this resentment, it's been eating me alive. It's been keeping me stuck. And I'm tired. I'm so tired of being angry." "So you forgive me?" I paused. "I don't know if I'm there yet. But I'm working on it. And I think that's the best I can do right now." Denise nodded. "That's more than I deserve. Maybe. But it's what I need. For me. Not for you." We sat there in silence for a while, holding hands like we used to when we were kids. "I'm scared," Denise finally said. "I know. I don't want to die. I know. Will you stay? Just for a little while?" I looked at my sister, my betrayer, my victim, dying in that bed. And I made a choice. "Yeah, I'll stay." I stayed with Denise for 3 days. Mama and Rochelle came and went. Friends from church stopped by. But mostly it was just me and Denise talking about our childhood and our mistakes and our regrets. On the 3rd day, Mama asked to talk to me in the hallway. "I need to say something," Mama said. "And I need you to hear me. Really, hear me." "Okay." "You were right. About everything. I did favor Denise. I did blame you for things that weren't your fault. I did choose her over you again and again, and I'm sorry. I'm so, so sorry." "Why?" I asked. "Why did you do it?" Mama's face crumpled. "Because she reminded me of myself. The baby, the pretty one, the one who struggled. And you reminded me of my mother. Strong, capable, independent. And I resented that. I resented that you didn't need me the way Denise did. I resented that you were everything I wanted to be but wasn't." "So you punished me for being strong?" "Yes, and that was wrong. So wrong. You deserved a mother who celebrated your strength, not one who punished you for it. You deserved better than what I gave you, and I'm sorry." I looked at my mother, really looked at her, and I saw her for who she was. Not a villain, not a hero, just a flawed woman who had made terrible choices and was trying to make amends when it was almost too late. "Thank you for saying that," I said. "I needed to hear it. Can you forgive me?" "Eventually. Maybe. I don't know. But I can try. That's the best I can offer." Mama hugged me tight. "That's enough. That's more than enough." Denise died 2 days later, peacefully, with all of us around her. Her last words were, "I'm sorry," whispered to me as I held her hand. The funeral was small, just family and a few friends from church. I helped Mama plan it. I stood next to Rochelle and we cried together. Not just for Denise, but for everything we had lost as a family. Terrence's trial for the murders of Jennifer Martinez and Ashley Thompson started 3 months later. I attended every day of that trial, too. Their families were there. 2 mothers who had lost their daughters. A brother, a sister, a father. All of them looking for justice that had taken years to find. The evidence was overwhelming. The emails, the plans, the patterns. The prosecutor, Jennifer Collins, was brilliant. She laid out Terrence's entire scheme. How he had targeted vulnerable women. How he had manipulated them. How he had killed them and made it look like accidents or natural causes. The jury found him guilty on all counts. The judge gave him 3 consecutive life sentences without the possibility of parole. When they led him out of that courtroom, he looked at me. And for the first time, I felt nothing. No anger. No satisfaction, no pain, just nothing. He had taken so much from me, from all of us. But he couldn't take any more. That chapter was closed. After the trial, I met with Jennifer and Ashley's families. We formed a support group for survivors of romantic con artists and predators. We wanted to help other women recognize the warning signs. We wanted to prevent what happened to us from happening to anyone else. Mama started going to therapy, real therapy with a professional. She was working on understanding why she had made the choices she made, why she had favored one daughter over another. It was slow work, but it was work, and that meant something. Rochelle and I grew closer. She became my confidant, my friend, not just my sister. We talked every day. We supported each other. And me? I kept living. I kept working. I kept building the life I wanted. Angela and I started a tradition of Sunday dinners. Sometimes it was just the 2 of us. Sometimes Rochelle and her kids came. Sometimes other friends from work or church. My house became a place of joy and laughter instead of pain and memories. I even started dating again. Really dating. I met a man named Isaiah at a hospital fundraiser. He was a physical therapist. Kind, patient, honest. We took things slow. We built a foundation of friendship first. And when we finally said "I love you" to each other, I knew I meant it. And I knew he did too. 1 year after Denise died, Mama called me. "I want to take you to lunch," she said. "Just the 2 of us. I want to hear about your life, about Isaiah, about work, about everything. Not because I need something from you, but because I want to know my daughter. Really know her." We met at a little restaurant downtown, and for the first time in my life, my mother asked me questions about me, about what I wanted, about my dreams, about my hopes. She listened, really listened. And when she apologized again for the past, I told her what I had been learning in my own therapy. The past is the past, Mama. We can't change it. But we can choose how we move forward. We can choose to do better. And I think you're trying to do better. So let's focus on that. "You're a better person than me," Mama said. "No, I'm just a person who learned that holding on to anger was hurting me more than anyone else. I'm a person who chose peace over being right." As I drove home that day, I thought about everything that had happened. The betrayal, the pain, the justice, the healing. All of it had led me here. To this moment, to this life. I wasn't the same person I had been 5 years ago when I walked in on Terrence and Denise. That woman had been broken by betrayal. She had been consumed by anger and hurt. But the woman I was now? She was stronger, wiser, more compassionate. She knew that healing wasn't linear, that forgiveness was complicated, that family was messy and imperfect, and sometimes it hurt. But she also knew that she deserved love, respect, joy, peace, and she wasn't going to settle for anything less. I thought about the title of this story. Found out my husband was cheating with my sister, divorced him, and went no contact with my toxic family. Years later, things took a turn. Things had definitely taken a turn. But not the turn I expected. Not the turn anyone expected. I thought going no contact would be my ending. I thought cutting them off would be my freedom. But real freedom came from something else. It came from choosing to engage on my own terms. From setting boundaries while leaving room for grace. From understanding that people were complicated and flawed and capable of both terrible harm and genuine growth. Real freedom came from knowing that I didn't have to choose between protecting myself and having compassion. I could do both. I could hold space for both. The last time I visited Denise's grave, I brought flowers. Rochelle came with me. "Do you think she's at peace?" Rochelle asked. "I hope so," I said. "I really do." "Do you think you'll ever fully forgive her?" I thought about that question. Really thought about it. "I think I already have," I finally said. Not because she earned it, but because I needed to let it go. For me. Forgiveness isn't about saying what she did was okay. It's about saying that I'm not going to let what she did control my life anymore. It's about choosing freedom. Rochelle put her arm around me. "I'm proud of you, sis." "I'm proud of me too." As we walked back to the car, I felt lighter than I had in years. The weight I had been carrying was finally gone. Not because justice had been served, though it had. Not because my family had apologized, though they had. But because I had made peace with my story. All of it. The good and the bad. The pain and the healing. I was free. And that freedom was worth more than any revenge could ever be. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to subscribe and feel free to share your story in the comments. Your voice matters.